6 Rockefeller warnings that will save you from poverty. The warning nobody wants to hear. My friend, what I'm about to share with you might make you uncomfortable. It might challenge everything you believe about money. It might force you to look in the mirror and admit some hard truths. But here's what I know. This warning saved John D. Rockefeller from a life of poverty, and it can save you too. In 1855, a 16-year-old boy walked into a business office looking for work. He had no connections, no money, no advantages. His father was a con artist who had abandoned the family. His mother was struggling to feed her children. This boy could have easily become another poverty statistic, another person who stayed broke their entire life, another victim of circumstances. But something happened that changed everything. Someone gave him a warning so powerful, so transformative, that it shaped his entire approach to money and wealth. That boy was John D. Rockefeller, and by the time he died, he had built a fortune worth over $400 billion in today's money. The warning he received? It's the same warning I'm going to give you today. And my friend, if you truly hear it, if you truly understand it, if you truly apply it, it will change your financial life forever. But here's the problem. Most people don't want to hear this warning. They resist it. They reject it. They make excuses for why it doesn't apply to them. And that's exactly why they stay broke. Poor people reject the warning. Rich people embrace it. Broke people make excuses. Wealthy people take action. So before we go any further, I need you to ask yourself a question. An honest question. Are you ready to hear a truth that might be uncomfortable? Are you ready to face the real reason you're struggling financially? Because if you're not ready, if you just want someone to tell you everything is fine and it's not your fault, then this audiobook isn't for you. But if you're ready for the truth, if you're ready to face the real reasons behind financial struggle, if you're ready to take the warning seriously and change your life, then keep listening. Because what comes next could save you from decades of poverty. It could transform your financial future. It could be the turning point you've been waiting for. Rockefeller received this warning at 16 years old. He took it seriously. He built his entire financial philosophy around it, and it made him the wealthiest person in modern history. The question is, will you take it as seriously as he did? Or will you do what most people do and ignore it? Make excuses, and stay broke. If this is resonating with you, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we're building a community of people who are ready to hear hard truths, people who want real transformation, not comfortable lies. And I want you to be part of this movement. Let me tell you something, my friend. The reason most people stay poor isn't what they think. It's not the economy. It's not lack of opportunity. It's not bad luck. It's something much simpler, much more fundamental, and much more within your control. And today, you're going to discover exactly what it is. The warning. You are your own worst enemy. Here's the warning that changed Rockefeller's life. Are you ready? You are the reason you're broke. Not the economy, not your boss, not the system, not your circumstances. You. Let that sink in for a moment. Your financial situation is not happening to you. It's happening because of you. Because of your choices, your habits, your mindset, your actions. And here's why this is the most important warning you'll ever hear. Until you accept this truth, you cannot change your financial situation. Until you take responsibility, you remain powerless. Poor people blame everything except themselves. The economy is bad. Their job doesn't pay enough. Rich people have advantages. The system is rigged. Opportunities are gone. They have 1,000 excuses. 1,000 reasons why it's not their fault. 1,000 external factors to blame. But rich people, they look in the mirror. They take responsibility. They admit that their financial situation is the result of their own choices. And that admission, my friend, is what gives them power to change. When Rockefeller was young, he could have blamed his circumstances. His father abandoned the family. His mother was poor. He had no advantages, no inheritance, no connections. He had every excuse in the world to stay poor, every reason to play victim, every justification for failure. But he didn't. He looked at his situation and said, "This is my responsibility. My financial future depends on my choices, not my circumstances." And that mindset shift changed everything. Think about it. If your poverty is caused by external factors, you're helpless. You can't change the economy. You can't change your past. You can't control what others do. You're stuck. But if your poverty is caused by your choices, then you can change it. Today, right now. You have power. You have control. You have hope. This is the warning. Stop blaming external factors. Stop making excuses. Stop playing victim. Take responsibility. Your spending habits, your responsibility. Your lack of savings, your responsibility. Your failure to invest, your responsibility. Your financial ignorance, your responsibility. All of it, every bit of it, your responsibility. Now, I know what you're thinking, but you don't understand my situation. I really do have it hard. The system really is unfair. I really don't have advantages. You're right. I don't know your specific situation. And yes, circumstances matter. Yes, some people have advantages. Yes, life isn't always fair. But focusing on those things doesn't help you. It doesn't change anything. It just keeps you stuck in victim mode. What helps you is taking responsibility for the things you can control. Your choices, your actions, your habits, your mindset. Rockefeller faced enormous obstacles, but he focused on what he could control, not what he couldn't. He focused on his response, not his circumstances. And that's exactly what you need to do. Here's a hard truth. Every choice you make either moves you toward wealth or toward poverty. Every dollar you spend is a choice. Every hour you waste is a choice. Every opportunity you ignore is a choice. And the sum of all these choices creates your financial reality. Poor people make poor choices and then blame circumstances. Rich people make rich choices and take responsibility. You buy a new car you can't afford? That's a choice that moves you toward poverty. You spend your paycheck on entertainment instead of investing? That's a choice that keeps you broke. You stay in a dead-end job instead of developing valuable skills? That's a choice that guarantees you stay poor. But here's what's exciting. If you can make choices that create poverty, you can make choices that create wealth. If you have the power to destroy your financial future, you have the power to build it. You just need to take responsibility. Accept that your current situation is the result of your past choices, and commit to making different choices starting today. This warning saved Rockefeller from poverty. He could have stayed a poor bookkeeper his entire life, but he took responsibility for his financial future. He made deliberate choices. He built wealth systematically, and that's exactly what you need to do. Listen closely, my friend. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm saying this to empower you. Because when you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. You're not a helpless victim. You're a powerful creator. You're not at the mercy of circumstances. You're in control of your choices. And your choices, repeated consistently over time, will determine your financial future. So here's your first action step. Stop making excuses. Stop blaming. Stop playing victim. Take 100% responsibility for your financial situation. Say it out loud. I am responsible for my financial situation. My choices created my current reality, and my choices will create my future reality. This simple statement, truly believed and acted upon, will transform your life. Because poor people reject responsibility. Rich people embrace it. Victims blame circumstances. Victors change circumstances. Which are you? And which do you want to be? The warning about spending. You're buying your own poverty. Here's the second part of Rockefeller's warning, and this one is going to hurt. Every time you spend money on something you don't need, you're buying your own poverty. Let that sink in. You're not just spending money, you're buying poverty. You're purchasing a broke future. You're investing in staying poor. Poor people spend money. Rich people invest money. And that difference determines everything. Think about your last paycheck. Where did it go? Rent, sure. Bills, okay. Food, necessary. But what about the rest? The new clothes you didn't really need. The restaurant meals when you had food at home. The subscription services you barely use. The impulse purchases. The entertainment. The stuff. Every dollar you spent on those things is a dollar that can't build wealth. Every dollar wasted on consumption is a dollar stolen from your financial freedom. Rockefeller understood this deeply. He lived far below his means his entire life. Even when he became a millionaire, even when he was the richest man in America, he lived modestly. Simple home, simple clothes, simple lifestyle. Why? Because he understood that every dollar spent on lifestyle is a dollar that can't compound into wealth. Every dollar consumed is a dollar that can't work for you. Every dollar wasted is a dollar that keeps you in poverty. Here's the brutal truth. Most people are poor because they spend like they're rich. They buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't like. They see something they want. They buy it. They feel good for a moment. Then they wonder why they're broke at the end of the month. This is the spending trap, and it keeps millions of people in poverty their entire lives. Rich people do the opposite. They spend like they're poor even when they're rich. They live below their means. They delay gratification. They invest the difference. And that's exactly why they get richer while poor people stay poor. Think about it. Two people, same income. One spends everything. One invests 20%. After 10 years, one is broke. The other has significant wealth. After 20 years, one is still broke. The other is financially free. Same income, completely different outcome. Why? Spending habits. Here's what you need to understand. Every spending decision is actually an investment decision. You're either investing in stuff that loses value or investing in assets that gain value. You're either building wealth or buying poverty. When you buy a new car, you're not just spending money. You're investing in something that loses value every year. That's an investment in poverty. When you buy the latest iPhone, you're not just upgrading your phone. You're investing in something that will be obsolete in 2 years. That's an investment in poverty. When you eat out 5 times a week, you're not just buying convenience. You're investing in temporary pleasure instead of permanent wealth. That's an investment in poverty. But when you put that same money into index funds, you're investing in something that grows. That's an investment in wealth. When you buy real estate, you're investing in something that appreciates and generates cash flow. That's an investment in wealth. When you invest in learning valuable skills, you're investing in increasing your earning power. That's an investment in wealth. Same money, different choices, different futures. Poor people ask, "Can I afford this?" Rich people ask, "What opportunity am I giving up by buying this?" Poor people see prices, rich people see opportunity costs. Poor people think about today. Rich people think about compound growth over decades. Rockefeller was famous for being frugal. People called him cheap. They mocked him for his simple lifestyle. But he wasn't being cheap, he was being strategic. He understood that every unnecessary dollar spent today is hundreds or thousands of dollars not available in the future. He understood compound opportunity cost. Let me give you an example. Say you spend $200 per month on things you don't really need: coffee shops, impulse purchases, unnecessary subscriptions. Just $200. If you spent that money, it's gone. You got temporary pleasure and some stuff you'll throw away in a few years. But if you invested that $200 per month at 10% annual returns for 30 years, you'd have over $450,000. That $200 per month is actually worth nearly $500,000. That coffee habit? That's a luxury car or a down payment on a house you're giving up. Every small spending decision, multiplied by compound growth over time, becomes a massive wealth decision. This is what poor people don't understand. They see individual purchases as small and harmless. But rich people see the compound effect over decades. Here's the warning. Your spending habits are creating your financial future. Every unnecessary purchase is buying poverty. Every wasted dollar is stealing from your future wealthy self. So what do you do about it? Here's the action step. Track every dollar you spend for the next 30 days. Every single dollar. Write it down. At the end of 30 days, look at your spending and ask, how much of this spending moved me toward wealth, and how much moved me toward poverty? You'll be shocked. Most people discover that 30 to 50% of their spending is completely unnecessary. Money wasted on impulse, money spent on temporary pleasure, money invested in staying poor. Then make a choice. Cut that unnecessary spending. Redirect those dollars to wealth building. Invest in your future instead of consuming your present. Rockefeller's warning is clear. Every dollar you waste on consumption is a dollar invested in poverty. Every dollar you redirect to wealth building is a dollar invested in freedom. Poor people consume their dollars. Rich people compound their dollars. Which are you doing? Remember, you can't spend your way to wealth. You can only invest your way to wealth. Consumption creates poverty. Investment creates freedom. Which are you choosing? The warning about time. You're wasting your most valuable asset. Here's the third part of Rockefeller's warning, and this might be the most important one. You're treating time like it's unlimited, but it's your most valuable, most limited resource, and you're wasting it. Poor people waste time. Rich people invest time, and that difference compounds just like money compounds. Think about how you spent your time yesterday. How many hours did you spend watching TV, scrolling social media, playing video games, engaging in activities that don't build wealth or develop skills? Now, think about this. You will never get that time back. Ever. Those hours are gone forever. The question is, did you invest them in building wealth, or did you waste them on temporary entertainment? Rockefeller was obsessive about time management. He understood that time is the ultimate non-renewable resource. Money can be earned again. Opportunities can come again. But time? Once it's gone forever. He spent his time learning, reading, analyzing, planning, building, networking. Every hour was invested in activities that would compound into wealth. Meanwhile, his competitors wasted time on leisure, entertainment, and socializing. They relaxed while Rockefeller worked. They played while he built. And guess what happened? He became the richest man in America. They stayed mediocre. Here's the brutal truth. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. Same as Elon Musk. Same as Warren Buffett. Same as everyone who's achieved great wealth. The difference isn't how much time you have, it's how you use the time you have. Poor people trade time for entertainment. Rich people trade time for education and wealth building. Poor people watch TV. Rich people read books. Poor people scroll social media. Rich people build businesses. And over time, these small differences compound into massive differences in wealth. Think about it. If you spend 2 hours per day watching TV, that's 730 hours per year. That's over 30 full days per year. That's almost a full month wasted. But if you spent those same 2 hours reading about investing, learning valuable skills, or building a side business, in 1 year, you'd have 730 hours of wealth-building activity. In 5 years, you'd be an expert. In 10 years, you'd be financially free. Same time, different choices, different futures. Here's what Rockefeller understood. Time is the raw material of wealth. You can convert time into money through work. You can convert time into knowledge through learning. You can convert time into assets through building. But you can't convert wasted time into anything except regret. Poor people treat time like it's unlimited. They waste hours every day on things that don't matter. They procrastinate. They distract themselves. They choose comfort over growth. Rich people treat time like it's precious. They're intentional about every hour. They invest time in high-value activities. They eliminate time wasters. They choose growth over comfort. And that's why rich people build wealth while poor people stay broke. Let me ask you something, my friend. How many hours did you waste last week? Be honest. Hours spent on activities that didn't move you toward your goals. Hours that didn't build wealth or develop skills. Hours that added no value to your life. Now multiply that by 52 weeks. That's how many hours you're wasting per year. Now multiply by 10 years. That's a decade of wasted time. A decade that could have built wealth, but instead built nothing. This is the warning. Your time is running out. Every hour that passes is an hour you'll never get back. Every day wasted is a day you can't reclaim. Every year spent not building wealth is a year closer to being old and broke. Time doesn't care about your excuses. Time doesn't wait for you to be ready. Time keeps moving whether you're building wealth or wasting opportunities. Rockefeller started building his fortune at 16, not 30, not 40, 16. Why? Because he understood that time compounds. The earlier you start, the more time your wealth has to grow. If you invest $500 per month starting at age 25, by age 65, you'll have about $3.2 million at 10% returns. But if you wait until age 35 to start, you'll have only $1.1 million. Same monthly investment, different start time. $2.1 million difference. That's the cost of wasting 10 years. That's the price of procrastination. That's what poor people don't understand. Here's another brutal truth. You're not going to have some magical moment when you're finally ready to start building wealth. You're not going to wake up one day with perfect circumstances and unlimited motivation. You either start now with what you have, where you are, or you stay broke. Those are your only two options. Poor people wait for perfect conditions. Rich people start with imperfect conditions and improve along the way. Poor people wait for someday. Rich people know someday never comes. So here's your action step. Audit your time for the next 7 days. Track every hour. Write down how you spend your time. Be brutally honest. At the end of 7 days, categorize your activities. Wealth building, learning, investing, building businesses, developing skills. Necessary, work, sleep, eating, basic life maintenance. Wasted, entertainment, social media, TV, mindless activities. Add up the wasted hours. Multiply by 52. That's how many hours per year you're throwing away. That's how many hours per year you're choosing poverty over wealth. Then, make a choice. Cut your wasted time in half. Redirect those hours to wealth building. Learn about investing. Start a side business. Develop valuable skills. Read books about money. Rockefeller's warning is clear. Time is your most valuable asset, and you're wasting it. Every wasted hour is an hour you'll regret when you're old and broke. The clock is ticking. Your time is running out. The question is, are you going to keep wasting it, or are you going to invest it in building the wealth and freedom you deserve? Poor people waste time. Rich people invest time. Broke people choose comfort. Wealthy people choose growth. Which are you choosing? The warning about debt. You're building chains, not wealth. Here's the fourth part of Rockefeller's warning, and this one might save you from decades of financial slavery. Debt is not a tool. It's a trap, and you're walking straight into it. Poor people use debt to buy things they can't afford. Rich people avoid debt like poison, or use it strategically, only for assets that generate returns. Let me be crystal clear about this. Consumer debt is financial poison. Credit card debt, car loans for vehicles you can't afford, personal loans for vacations, buy now, pay later for stuff you don't need. Every dollar of debt you take on is a chain around your neck. Every payment is a piece of your freedom you're giving away. Every interest charge is money flowing away from you instead of toward you. Rockefeller hated debt. He refused to borrow money for consumption. He lived within his means. He only used debt strategically for business investments that would generate returns exceeding the interest cost. This discipline kept him free. While others were slaves to their creditors, he was building wealth. While others were working to make debt payments, he was investing for compound growth. Here's what poor people don't understand. Debt makes you work for the bank. You're trading your future labor for present consumption. You're selling your freedom for temporary pleasure. Think about it. You buy a $30,000 car with a loan. You make payments for 5 years. By the time you pay it off, you've paid $35,000. That extra $5,000? That's money you gave to the bank for the privilege of driving a depreciating asset. But it gets worse. That $30,000, if invested at 10% returns for 5 years, would become $48,000. So the real cost of that car, $48,000 plus the $5,000 in interest. You gave up $53,000 of potential wealth to drive a car that's now worth maybe $15,000. This is how debt destroys wealth. This is how poor people stay poor. They buy depreciating assets with borrowed money, paying interest to own things that lose value. Meanwhile, rich people do the opposite. They pay cash for depreciating assets or buy used. They invest their money in appreciating assets. They let compound growth work for them, not against them. Here's the warning. Every dollar you owe is a dollar working against you. Every debt payment is money you can't invest. Every interest charge is compound growth in reverse. Debt is negative compounding. It grows exponentially, just like investments. But instead of making you wealthy, it keeps you poor. Poor people see debt as normal. Everyone has car payments. Everyone has credit card debt. Everyone lives paycheck to paycheck because of debt payments. But rich people see debt as abnormal, as dangerous, as something to avoid or eliminate as quickly as possible. Rockefeller said, "A man's wealth must be determined by the relation of his expenditures to his income. If he gets $5 and spends $4, he is rich. If he gets $100,000 and spends $101,000, he is poor." Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, wealth is determined by income. He said it's determined by the relationship between income and spending, and debt destroys that relationship. When you have debt, you can't spend less than you earn, because part of your earnings must go to debt payments. You're working to pay for your past consumption instead of building your future wealth. This is financial slavery, and millions of people choose it every day. Here's another hard truth. That nice car you can't afford, it doesn't make you look rich. It makes you look poor to people who understand money. Because people who understand money know that anyone can have a nice car on credit. But only people with wealth can have freedom. Rich people would rather drive a 10-year-old paid-off car and have $1 million in investments than drive a brand new car and be in debt. Poor people prioritize appearance over reality. They want to look rich even though they're broke. They buy status symbols with borrowed money. Rich people prioritize reality over appearance. They want to be rich even if they don't look rich. They build actual wealth even if others don't see it. So, here's your action step. List all your debts right now, all of them. Credit cards, car loans, personal loans, buy now, pay later, everything. Add up the total amount you owe. Look at that number. That's how much of your freedom you've sold. That's how many chains you're wearing. Now, add up your monthly debt payments. Multiply by 12. That's how much of your annual income is going to the bank instead of building your wealth. Now, multiply that annual amount by 30 years at 10% returns. That's how much wealth you're giving up to make debt payments instead of investments. The number will shock you. It will make you sick. Good. Let it motivate you. Then, make a plan. Stop taking on new debt immediately. Zero new debt. No exceptions. No rationalizations. No more chains. Then, attack your existing debt aggressively. Pay minimums on everything except the smallest debt. Throw every extra dollar at that smallest debt until it's gone. Then move to the next smallest. This is the debt snowball method. It works. Rockefeller's warning is clear. Debt is not normal. It's not a tool. It's not helpful. It's a trap that keeps you poor. Every dollar you owe is a dollar stolen from your future. Every debt payment is an investment in staying broke. Every interest charge is compound growth working against you. Poor people use debt to look rich while staying poor. Rich people avoid debt to stay rich while looking ordinary. Which path are you on? And which path leads to freedom? Remember, debt is chains. Freedom is wealth. You can't have both. Choose wisely. The warning about ignorance. Your financial illiteracy is keeping you poor. Here's the fifth part of Rockefeller's warning, and this one explains why smart people stay broke. You're financially illiterate, and your ignorance is costing you everything. Poor people don't know how money works. Rich people study money obsessively, and that knowledge gap determines everything. Rockefeller spent hours every day reading about business, finance, and economics. He studied his industry. He analyzed competitors. He learned continuously. He invested in his financial education more than anything else. Why? Because he understood that financial knowledge multiplies wealth. Financial ignorance multiplies poverty. Think about it. You went to school for 12 years, maybe more. But how many hours of financial education did you receive? How many classes about investing, about compound interest, about asset allocation, about tax strategy, about wealth building? Probably zero. Maybe 1 or 2 hours total if you were lucky. The school system taught you algebra and history and literature, but it didn't teach you the one subject that determines your quality of life: how money works. This is by design, because financially illiterate people are easier to control. They work jobs, they consume products, they stay in debt. They make banks rich while staying poor themselves. But here's the truth. Financial ignorance is a choice. You have access to unlimited information: books, podcasts, videos, courses. All the financial education you need is available, most of it for free. The only question is, are you choosing to learn, or are you choosing to stay ignorant? Poor people don't read books about money. They watch TV. They scroll social media. They waste time on entertainment while staying ignorant about the one thing that could change their life. Rich people read obsessively. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages per day. Bill Gates reads 50 books per year. Elon Musk learned to build rockets by reading books. Knowledge compounds just like money compounds. Every book you read, every concept you learn, every strategy you understand builds on previous knowledge. But most people never start. They stay financially illiterate their entire lives. Then they wonder why they're broke while others build wealth. Here's what financial ignorance costs you. You don't understand compound interest, so you leave money in savings accounts earning nothing while inflation destroys your purchasing power. Cost: hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. You don't understand investing, so you're terrified of the stock market and miss out on decades of growth. Cost: millions of dollars in lost wealth. You don't understand taxes, so you pay maximum taxes instead of using legal strategies to minimize your tax burden. Cost: tens or hundreds of thousands per year. You don't understand debt, so you borrow money for consumption and pay interest for years. Cost: decades of financial slavery. You don't understand asset allocation, so you either take too much risk or too little risk. Cost: either losing everything or building nothing. Every gap in your financial knowledge is costing you money. Every concept you don't understand is keeping you poor. Rockefeller understood this deeply. He knew that knowledge gaps cost more than money. They cost opportunity. They cost time. They cost freedom. So he made financial education his priority. Not entertainment, not leisure, education. Here's the brutal truth. You have time to watch TV 3 hours per day, but not time to read one book per month about money? You have time to scroll social media, but not time to learn about investing? You're not too busy. You're choosing entertainment over education. You're choosing comfort over growth. You're choosing to stay ignorant. And that choice is keeping you poor. Let me ask you something, my friend. When was the last time you read a book about money? When was the last time you took a course on investing? When was the last time you spent an hour learning about wealth building? If you can't remember, that's your problem. That's why you're broke. Not because of circumstances, not because of bad luck, because of ignorance. Here's what rich people know that poor people don't. Rich people know that wealth is created through ownership, stocks, real estate, businesses, not through labor. Poor people think working harder creates wealth. Rich people know that compound growth over decades creates massive wealth. Poor people think you need big wins or lucky breaks. Rich people know that tax strategy can save millions over a lifetime. Poor people just pay whatever taxes are withheld. Rich people know that asset allocation determines most of investment returns. Poor people either avoid investing entirely or chase hot stocks. Rich people know that multiple income streams create security. Poor people rely on one job. These aren't secrets, they're basics. Basic financial knowledge that anyone can learn. But poor people don't learn them. They stay ignorant. They stay broke. So here's your action step. Commit to financial education. Make it a priority. Make it non-negotiable. Read one book about money per month. Just one. That's 12 books per year. In 1 year, you'll know more about money than 95% of people. In 5 years, you'll be a financial expert. In 10 years, you'll have built significant wealth through applied knowledge. Start with these basics. Deflate Air Next Door by Thomas Stanley. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. Wretched: A Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burton Malkiel. One book per month, 12 months. Your financial life will transform. But here's the catch. Reading isn't enough. You must apply what you learn. Knowledge without action is worthless. You must implement. You must take action. You must put the moral principles into practice. Rockefeller didn't just read about business, he built businesses. He didn't just learn about investing, he invested. He didn't just study strategies, he executed strategies. And that's exactly what you need to do. Learn and apply. Study and implement. Understand and execute. Every book you read should result in action. Every concept you learn should change a behavior. Every strategy you understand should be applied to your financial life. This is how you transform financial ignorance into financial intelligence. This is how you convert knowledge into wealth. Rockefeller's warning is clear. Your financial ignorance is keeping you poor. Every gap in your knowledge is costing you money, opportunity, and freedom. But the solution is simple. Educate yourself. Read, learn, study, grow. Transform ignorance into intelligence. Poor people stay ignorant and wonder why they're broke. Rich people become experts and build wealth. Financially illiterate people work hard and stay poor. Financially educated people work smart and get rich. Which are you? And which do you want to be? Remember, ignorance is not bliss, it's poverty. Knowledge is not just power, it's wealth. Choose education, choose growth, choose to learn. Your financial future depends on it. The warning about comfort. Your comfort zone is your poverty zone. Here's the sixth part of Rockefeller's warning, and this one might be the hardest to hear. You're too comfortable, and your comfort is keeping you broke. Poor people choose comfort over growth. Rich people choose growth over comfort, and that choice determines everything. Rockefeller was never comfortable. Even after he became wealthy, he continued to push himself. He continued to take risks. He continued to grow. He never settled. He never said, "This is enough." He understood something profound. Comfort is the enemy of wealth. The moment you get comfortable, you stop growing. The moment you stop growing, you start dying. Think about your life right now. Are you comfortable? Do you have a steady job that pays enough to get by? Do you have a routine that feels safe? Do you know what each day will bring? If yes, you're in danger. Because comfort is the trap that keeps most people poor. Here's why. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. Wealth is built outside your comfort zone. Everything you want is outside your comfort zone. But most people never leave their comfort zone. They get a job. They settle into a routine. They do the same thing year after year. They're comfortable. They're safe. They're broke. And they stay broke because they never push beyond comfort into growth. Rich people are deliberately uncomfortable. They take risks. They try new things. They fail and learn. They push boundaries. They never settle. Poor people avoid discomfort at all costs. They stay in jobs they hate because it's comfortable. They avoid investing because it's uncomfortable. They don't start businesses because it's risky. They choose the safety of poverty over the risk of wealth. Let me ask you something, my friend. What have you avoided doing because it was uncomfortable? What opportunity have you passed up because it required leaving your comfort zone? Starting a business? Too risky. Learning to invest? Too complicated. Negotiating a raise? Too awkward. Building a side income? Too much work. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing to stay broke. Every time you avoid discomfort, you're avoiding wealth. Rockefeller did uncomfortable things constantly. He negotiated aggressively, even though it was uncomfortable. He made unpopular decisions, even though it was uncomfortable. He took risks, even though it was uncomfortable. And that willingness to be uncomfortable is what built his fortune. Here's the brutal truth. Everything worth having is on the other side of discomfort. Financial freedom? On the other side of the discomfort of investing and delayed gratification. High income? On the other side of the discomfort of developing valuable skills. Business ownership? On the other side of the discomfort of risk and uncertainty. But most people never get there because they can't handle discomfort. They want the results without the discomfort. They want wealth without risk. They want success without struggle. It doesn't work that way. It never has. It never will. Think about it. Every successful person you know went through massive discomfort to get there. They took risks that terrified them. They did things they didn't know how to do. They pushed beyond their limits. Meanwhile, unsuccessful people stayed comfortable. They avoided risk. They stayed in their lane. They never pushed their limits. And guess what? The comfortable people stayed poor. The uncomfortable people got rich. Here's another hard truth. Your current comfort zone is the result of your past growth. At some point, your current situation was uncomfortable, but you pushed through, you grew, and now it's comfortable. But if you stay there, you'll never grow further. You'll never build more wealth. You'll stay exactly where you are. The only way to build wealth is to keep pushing into discomfort. Keep growing. Keep trying new things. Keep taking calculated risks. Poor people ask, "Is this safe?" Rich people ask, "Will this help me grow?" Poor people avoid discomfort. Rich people embrace discomfort as the price of growth. So, here's your action step. Identify one thing you've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable. One action that would move you toward wealth but feels risky or difficult or scary. Maybe it's starting to invest. Maybe it's asking for a raise. Maybe it's starting a side business. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's having an uncomfortable conversation about money. Whatever it is, do it. This week. Push through the discomfort. Take the action. Cross the boundary of your comfort zone. And here's what you'll discover. The discomfort is temporary, but the growth is permanent. The fear is in your head, but the results are real. Every time you do something uncomfortable and survive, your comfort zone expands. Things that used to terrify you become normal. Actions that used to feel impossible become routine. This is how you build wealth. This is how you transform your financial life. Not through one big uncomfortable action, but through many small uncomfortable actions repeated over time. Rockefeller pushed through discomfort every single day. Every negotiation was uncomfortable. Every risk was uncomfortable. Every new venture was uncomfortable. But he did it anyway, because he knew that comfort leads to stagnation. Discomfort leads to growth. Stagnation leads to poverty. Growth leads to wealth. Here's the warning. Your comfort zone is your poverty zone. Every moment you stay comfortable is a moment you're not building wealth. Every time you choose safety over growth, you're choosing to stay broke. The path to wealth is paved with discomfort, risk, uncertainty, fear, failure, learning, growing, pushing limits. Are you willing to walk that path? Or will you stay comfortable and poor? Poor people prioritize comfort and stay broke. Rich people embrace discomfort and build wealth. Safe people avoid risk and avoid reward. Brave people take calculated risks and reap rewards. Which are you? And which do you want to be? Remember, comfort is expensive. It costs you your dreams, your potential, your wealth, your freedom. Discomfort is temporary, but the wealth you build through discomfort is permanent. Choose growth over comfort. Choose risk over safety. Choose the discomfort that leads to wealth over the comfort that leads to poverty. Your financial freedom is waiting, but it's outside your comfort zone. Will you go get it? The final warning. This is your last chance. My friend, we've covered 6 powerful warnings. 6 truths that Rockefeller understood and that transformed him from a poor boy into the wealthiest person in modern history. Let me remind you of what we've learned. Warning 1. You are your own worst enemy. Your financial situation is your responsibility, not your circumstances. Take responsibility or stay broke. Warning 2. You're buying your own poverty. Every dollar wasted on consumption is a dollar stolen from your wealth. Invest or stay poor. Warning 3. You're wasting your most valuable asset. Time is running out. Every wasted hour is lost wealth. Invest your time or regret it forever. Warning 4. Debt is destroying you. Every dollar you owe is a chain. Every payment is lost freedom. Eliminate debt or stay enslaved. Warning 5. Your ignorance is keeping you broke. Financial illiteracy costs you everything. Educate yourself or stay poor. Warning 6. Your comfort zone is your poverty zone. Growth requires discomfort. Choose comfort or choose wealth, but you can't have both. These warnings are not suggestions. They're not motivational fluff. They're hard truths that determine whether you build wealth or stay broke. Rockefeller took these warnings seriously. He built his entire financial philosophy around them. He disciplined himself according to these principles, and he became the richest person in history. The question is, will you take them as seriously as he did? Because here's the final warning, my friend, the most important warning of all. This is your last chance. Not because you won't hear these truths again, but because every day you wait is a day you can't get back. Every month you delay is a month of compound growth lost forever. Every year you procrastinate is a year closer to being old and broke. Time is running out. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now, this moment. As you listen to these words, your opportunity is slipping away. Poor people think they have unlimited time. I'll start investing next year. I'll get serious about money when I'm older. I'll change my habits someday. But someday never comes. Next year turns into next decade. When I'm older becomes when it's too late. Rich people understand that the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. Right now, this moment. So here's what I need you to understand. Everything I've shared with you is worthless unless you take action. Knowledge without action changes nothing. Understanding without implementation keeps you exactly where you are. You can listen to this audiobook 100 times. You can agree with every word. You can nod your head and say, "This is so true." But if you don't take action, you'll stay broke. Plain and simple. Rockefeller didn't just learn these principles. He lived them every single day, for decades, until they became so ingrained in his thinking that he couldn't separate them from his identity. And that's exactly what you need to do. So here's your final action step, the most important action step of this entire audiobook. Within the next 24 hours, implement one of these warnings. Just one, not all 6, just one. Maybe you take responsibility for your financial situation and stop making excuses. Maybe you cut one unnecessary expense and redirect that money to investing. Maybe you commit to reading one book per month about money. Maybe you create a plan to eliminate your debt. Maybe you audit your time and redirect wasted hours to wealth building. Maybe you do one uncomfortable thing that moves you toward wealth. Just one action within 24 hours. Not tomorrow, not next week, within 24 hours. Because if you don't take action within 24 hours, you probably never will. The motivation will fade. The urgency will disappear. Life will get in the way, and you'll stay exactly where you are. But if you take one action within 24 hours, something magical happens. Momentum builds. One action leads to another action. Small changes compound into massive transformation. This is how Rockefeller built his fortune, not through one big action, but through many small actions repeated consistently over decades. And this is how you'll build your wealth too. Listen carefully. I believe in you. I believe you have what it takes to build wealth. I believe you can transform your financial life. I believe these warnings can save you from poverty just like they saved Rockefeller. But belief isn't enough. Action is required. Discipline is required. Commitment is required. So I'm asking you right now, are you committed? Are you ready to take these warnings seriously? Are you ready to stop making excuses and start building wealth? If yes, prove it. Take action within 24 hours. Don't just think about it. Don't just plan it. Do it. Set up that automatic investment transfer. Cut that unnecessary subscription. Buy that first book about money. Make that debt payment plan. Audit your time spending. Do that uncomfortable thing you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, do it. Today, now, this moment. Because this is your last chance. Not because you won't have future opportunities, but because every moment you wait is a moment lost forever. Your financial freedom is waiting. Your wealthy future is possible. The life you dream about is achievable, but only if you take action. Only if you implement these warnings. Only if you do what Rockefeller did and build your life on these principles. If you found value in this audiobook, I need you to do 3 things. First, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because we're building a community of people who take these warnings seriously. People who are committed to building wealth, not staying broke. Second, share this audiobook with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's struggling financially. Someone who's making excuses. Someone who's wasting their potential. Send them this link. This could change their life. Third, drop a comment below. Tell me which warning hit you the hardest. Tell me what action you're going to take within 24 hours. Hold yourself accountable publicly. Join the community of people who are transforming their financial lives. Because this isn't just a YouTube channel, this is a movement. A movement of people who refuse to accept poverty, who refuse to make excuses, who refuse to stay comfortable while staying broke. A movement of people who take responsibility, invest wisely, value time, eliminate debt, educate themselves, and push beyond comfort. Are you part of this movement? Or are you going to stay on the sidelines while others transform their lives? The choice is yours. But remember, choosing not to decide is still a choice. Choosing not to act is choosing to stay broke. Rockefeller received these warnings at 16 years old. He took them seriously. He acted on them. He built his life around them. And they transformed him from a poor boy into the wealthiest person in history. These same warnings can transform you too, if you take them seriously, if you act on them, if you build your life around them. The warnings have been given. The truth has been spoken. The path has been shown. Now it's up to you. Will you heed the warnings, or will you ignore them like most people do? Will you take action, or will you make excuses? Will you build wealth, or will you stay broke? The answer to these questions will determine your financial future. Choose wisely, my friend. Choose action over excuses. Choose growth over comfort. Choose wealth over poverty. Your financially free future is waiting, but you have to go get it. Thank you for listening. I believe in your potential. Now go out and prove me right. Take action within 24 hours. Build the wealth you deserve. Transform your financial life. This is your last chance. Don't waste it.